Some men have lots of unresolved emotional issues, and it often relates to their feminine side, and that leads them to certain patterns of behavior that it's going to make it quite challenging for you to be with them. When I'm relating to unresolved emotional issues, I'm relating to the term that they have a wounded feminine side, because we both have a feminine and a masculine. By you understanding some patterns that can help you to be into a healthier relationship, so that you can be able to spot the person is coming from their wounded side and to protect yourself. A man that is in his wounded feminine, they may be struggling to emotionally express to you, and they might lack in intimacy. They might be emotionally distant. They might not want to be sharing their feelings, or they might be people who shut down whenever an emotional discussion comes up. It could also portray itself as a man that is seeking a lot of emotional support. They might be looking for validation from you. They might be wanting reassurance from other people. And usually that comes because they have a low self-esteem, or they have a lack of emotional self-sufficiency. Men like that display indirect passive-aggressive behavior when they're faced with conflicts, or you might put them into a challenge. They have a hard time openly communicating their needs or their concerns, and they might resort to very subtle forms of manipulation, or even go to be sarcastic. Their past emotional wounds or traumas that they may have been through, they may have a strong aversion to being vulnerable, and this fear can lead to an emotional guardedness that is hindering them to develop a deep connection. They might struggle to make decisions confidently. He might constantly be seeking approval or input from other people, and they might fear the consequences of making the wrong choice. He may frequently have a victim mentality, perceiving himself as he's constantly being wronged or misunderstood by other people. A man may have a struggle to take leadership. They rather defer to other people rather than asserting their own needs and their own desires. Some men in their wounded energy may shy away from confrontation, or they don't like to get into challenging conversations. They can avoid conversations because they want to keep the peace, so they can be neglecting their own needs. These people have a difficult time nurturing others. He's going to be finding it challenging to provide emotional support or to nurture you, as that man may not have fully developed his own emotional needs. A man in his lacked feminine side is going to be self-criticizing. He can constantly put himself down. He can be highlighting his flaws, might be highlighting his shortcomings. He won't really have compassion for himself. He will go to great lengths to seek approval and validation from others, as he goes to compromise his own values and needs in order to gain acceptance. He won't be able to express needs, understand other people's behaviors, and shuts down. They won't be having confidence, so they're going to be lacking in assertiveness. They might even be a perfectionist type of person. They might fear failure. They might fear rejection from other people. It's usually people that put a lot of high standards for themselves, having a difficult time receiving. He will be quite uncomfortable being put in the spot where if you were to give him, he will not be able to accept. He doesn't usually want the support. They believe that if they show that they need something, that it's a sign of weakness. A man in their wounded feminine is not connected with their intuition. He might be ignoring or dismissing his gut feelings. They will be having a hard time making decisions based on their wisdom. They shy away of getting intimate with others. They avoid being connected to other people, and they usually much more prefer superficial relationships, and they do that so that they can protect themselves, so they don't get emotionally hurt. They can be a person that has defensiveness. If you are the person who might be trying to give them feedback, they might be retaliating towards that. They might be getting offended with it. They won't be accepting your feedback easily. It's usually a person who really can't connect on the emotional aspects of things. They try to keep the matters practical. And they're the type of person that is constantly apologizing even on very minor things, as if he feels responsible for every perceived problem or discomfort. Usually a person who likes to keep things under control. They usually try to control their life and their relationships. And this often stems from fear of chaos or even vulnerability. They might also be a person who escalates drama. Their emotions are not regulated. It's easy for them to stay in conflicted situations, and they don't know how to put the peace down without resorting to conflicts. It might also be a person who is quite competitive. So you might give some ideas out and they're constantly trying to overrule you. They don't accept what you have to say in things. It's very difficult for them to be calm and to be engaging in behaviors, perhaps to have a much more rational discussion. They might be a person who has a difficult time accepting compliments. So you might tell them something nice about themselves and they're going to be dismissive to that because they have a hard time accepting positive feedback. They might be a person that avoids self-reflection. This person is constantly dwelling their past emotions and they're downplaying very small of themselves. He avoids delving into his own emotions, preferring to keep aspects of himself somehow hidden. When you meet a person, before allowing your totality to get invested in a man, you've got to be able to recognize all of these signs that I say. Because if you don't, you're going to be having troubles with a person like that. If they cannot regulate themselves, they do not know who they are, they don't know what their role is in a relationship, it's going to be a constant battle. Life is too short to be living in chaos. Learn to recognize these signs and take caution. If somebody shows you signs like this that you're trying to address and they're invalidating you, it's not going to have a successful outcome. You need to decipher all of these hidden traits.